There's a few movies that get stuck in this kind of category where it's almost a slasher.
Yeah.
And they're boring from those tropes. Hello and welcome to another episode of Frightfully Forgotten's Trash or Treasure. Today we're going to be talking about 1983's 10 to Midnight.
Yeah.
But what are we drinking?
We're drinking the Dark Crystal Dunkel. 10 to Midnight was directed by J. Lee Thompson, and he did the original Cape Fear, and he also did like a bunch of those canon videos with Charles Bronson, like the later Death Wish movies and The Face of Death and all that.
Murphy's Law and all that shit. Charles Bronson is in this, and he is best known for Death Wishes 1 through 15.
Oh, I wish I was dead.
Gene Davis is in this, and he's in lots of stuff. Always bit parts, though. Like, he's in The Hitcher, he's in The Relic, he's in Universal Soldier, just to name a few.
What's the matter, soldier?
Lisa Eilbacher's in this, and she is in Beverly Hills Cop. She's in Leviathan.
Yeah.
Andrew Stevens is in this, and he is in The Fury, which we covered. It was one of our first Trash or Treasure episodes, actually, I think.
That's right.
And Wilford Brimley is in this.
Yeah.
Probably most people know him as the Quaker Oats guy.
Yeah.
And for having diabetes. But he's also in The Thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he was in Seinfeld, too, as the Postmaster General. 10 to Midnight starts off where we see Charles Bronson, Kessler in the movie, talking to, like, this bum, O'Grady in Leprechaun.
I caught him!
And made him show me what a goal is! Bum is, like, telling him, you know what I did? I used a razor. That's what I did. You're gonna have to lock me away. He's like, nah, not today, buddy.
Yeah,
like,
he's just trying to get thrown in jail so he has a place to sleep that night.
And a meal or something. And then this reporter kind of starts hassling Kessler. You want a story, I want to catch the killers. So what I want comes first. You see this guy, this young kid, basically. He sees this woman walking by and she gets into a van with her boyfriend and they drive off, and he's kind of fixated on this woman. At home,
he's on his ditch, he's on his Speedo.
Blow drying his hair and everything. And
all those karate posters.
Yeah, getting ready for a night on the town, and he goes to the movie theater. Two chicks in front of him that are buying tickets strike up a shitty conversation.
He comes off as a real fucking creep.
Yeah.
Really.
During the movie, he gets up and he goes to the bathroom. There's a window right above the stall, and he leaves the movie theater, goes to where these people... How the hell
How would he know where they are?
Yeah.
They're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they could have went anywhere, actually.
Yeah. They're in the woods, and he just finds them.
Finds them wherever they are, and they're screwing in the back of this van.
He's all naked.
Yeah, and he takes his clothes off. He opens the back door, and she freaks out, and he ends up stabbing the boyfriend and chasing her. She kind of hides in the woods a bit, and he ends up stabbing her right in the stomach. He then slips back into the movie theater. Just as the movie's ending, he's sitting there, and the girls who he was being an asshole to, they see him.
How he did all that in the span of an hour and a half.
And knowing where they were.
Drive all the way out or walk to the woods or whatever and come back. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a time crunch.
He's pretty efficient. Kessler has a new partner now, too, and they come on the scene. As they're driving to the victim's parents' house, it kind of spurs his memory on the pharmacy there. I remember the owner of the pharmacy. He got hooked on morphine. He goes to the family of the victim, and it turns out that he knows them. They were neighbors way back years ago. And the victim was friends with Kessler's daughter as well.
Daughter.
His daughter. So there's a funeral for the victim too that everybody attends, even the killer. You see the killer in the crowd. He even comes up to Kessler's daughter.
Do I know you from somewhere?
Yeah, no, not really. The killer overhears the victim's parents telling Kessler that there was a diary that she kept.
But all the men that she was with,
too many. It's like, ugh.
as soon as the killer knows there's a diary that possibly has his name in it, right, he breaks into the victim's apartment, and she still has a roommate. She comes back from the funeral while he's trying to get this drawer open that has the diary in it, and he hides in this closet. Just starts like making these eggs, like
toast.
Like no, like you're usually drunk when you come back from a funeral and full from all the kielbasa.
Yeah, and all that shitty sandwich meat and everything.
Anyways, he ends up killing her, opens up this drawer to find nothing. Turns out that Kessler and his partner were there first and already got the diary. So they go to his apartment and they start interrogating him. Hey, you like karate? See that karate poster? The partner starts talking to him. Well, Kessler's like scoping around and looking through drawers and shit.
Yeah, in
like
the bathroom and all that. Yeah.
So she does mention this guy in her diary, and they have enough to actually pull this guy into the police station to interrogate him properly, right?
Yeah.
And this guy is like being a fucking weirdo. Kessler's really fucking pushing him, right?
He's grilling him,
Grilling him hard, and then he pulls out this big, like this drill thing, this big machine thing. He's like, "What's this for? Jacking off?"
some huge kitchen appliance
with this flesh thing on it. Like, what the? For more than jacking off, like that's not jacking off. That's something else.
It's fucking sadistic. Remember the first time you watched 10 to Midnight?
Did pique my curiosity. Hey, what you up to there?
Oh, just hanging some shelves here for my DVDs.
You mind if I stick my wang in that drill? Ever since 10 to Midnight, I've always wanted to try that. My wang was never the same again. So they don't have enough to hold this guy. They have to let him go. But he's now fixated on Kessler's daughter.
Yeah.
Daughter, intern nurse. And she's staying with all these nurses in like this dorm. He starts phoning her with all these obscene phone calls using this shitty Spanish accent. We're gonna do it both ways. So she tells her dad this, of course, because he's, you know, a police officer. And they record one of the conversations and they compare it to the interrogation that they had with this guy. It's the same guy. Kessler fucking wants this guy big time. He's now after his daughter. Late one night he goes to like the evidence lab, gets the guy to get him a tape, and while he's getting him a tape, he sneaks into the blood fridge and takes a vial of this blood and plants it on this guy's clothes. So now they have the DNA, the blood on his clothes, and the guy fucking flips his lid. He's like, "That's impossible! No!" Because he was naked.
Yeah, exactly.
Kessler's partner found out that he planted the blood and confronts him just before they go to trial.
Yeah.
Plants the seed of like guilt in Kessler. You can't hear the conversation, but you can tell.
Yeah.
He's confessing. And then the whole trial is thrown out because he said he planted the blood. So now this guy is free. Kessler's fired. He's no longer a police officer. He's got no authority anymore.
Yeah.
He's got no badge. But he still has a gun.
That's right. And a grudge.
And this asshole is still after his daughter. So if you want to see how 10 to Midnight ends, finish watching the movie. But is it trash or treasure?
Well, we're going to start with the treasure here, and the first thing to mention is the story itself, which is actually pretty damn good and compelling. All aspects of the law in this, right? So you get to see the killer, what he does, and then you get to see how the lawyers kind of piss around to get him off. But you also see how there's corruption on the police side of things too, with Kessler, and how he fucks around with the blood. A guilty man gets let go, but it's because of corruption.
The character building's pretty good too. For most of the characters. Not all, but most of the characters.
That's right, yeah.
Kessler's an interesting character. He's not, I wouldn't say he's a corrupt cop. He's backed in a corner. If it wasn't his daughter being stalked by this guy, maybe he wouldn't have done that. But now he's got a personal fucking vendetta against this guy. He's like, he needs to go away.
Right.
He wants to make sure the bad guys get put away no bullshit.
That's right, yeah.
But the bullshit comes back on him. The music in this movie is fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Great 80s score.
Yeah, you got a really good beat, too, to drive everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. This movie is shot really well, too. Like, a lot of those night shots with the lighting.
Yeah.
How all the scenes are lit, how they're directed, too, is really good.
Good 80s nighttime vibe. Like, some movies just have that atmosphere to it, right? You know, and this movie has that, puts you there.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
It's a little on the gritty side, too. The kills in this movie are also pretty damn good. They're pretty gory, they're pretty bloody, they're pretty brutal, too. Like, they show him stabbing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not just a one kind of thing. He stabs a lot. Like, there's a lot of gore in this.
Yeah, this guy has some anger issues.
Yeah.
The opening sequence to this movie is fucking killer.
Yeah.
And so is the ending sequence. The last act of this movie is spectacular. But things in the middle we'll get to in the trash aspect.
That's right, yep.
That brings us to the trash for 10 to midnight. And part of it really is this movie seems to suffer from a bit of identity crisis. It's like it doesn't know if it's a slasher or a thriller or a cop drama.
Right.
Like, it tries to do all those things, and it does them all okay, but none of those things well.
And because of that, the pacing drags, bog the movie down. You get caught up in all this courtroom
All this
drama
courtroom
shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, like it starts off like a slasher. It ends like a really good fucking slasher. And in the middle, suddenly it's a cop drama.
Yeah.
It's like, well, pick one and stick with it.
You get kind of bored, too. It's like, oh...
Yeah, like when they go to court, it's like, really? It's a good story, but it's not told the same way from front to back.
They could have had that story, but told in a different way, where it cut out a lot of that shit.
It would have been nice to see it been done more of like the way Manhunter was done. That kind of perspective where it's like the same tone the whole way through.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's another thing, too, right? You don't get to know the killer as much as you want to in this movie.
Especially seeing how much time we spend with him. Like, we know who he is right off the bat. We know it's this guy. There's no mystery.
Yeah.
It's this guy. But you don't know anything about him. We don't know his motives, his backstory, his upbringing, like all that stuff that you want to know about what makes a killer tick.
Yeah.
You don't get any of it.
Yeah, because it would certainly help with the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
You either sympathize with the character or you don't. Or you really hate him and you want him dead.
Or you're torn, like, oh, like...
Yeah. Is it justified
Yeah,
or
like,
not?
is this, yeah. And considering how much character building they do in this movie with, like, Kessler and his daughter and his partner, there's no character building for the actual killer.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of needed that.
They focused on Bronson because he's the star power for the movie.
No, I want to know what makes this weird fucking guy tick. Why is he like this? Why is he wanting to kill these women?
Yeah. And then he's fucking smart, though, too.
Yeah.
So he's got, like, obvious intelligence where he takes his clothes off to kill. It's like, yeah.
And plays games with the police and shit. And wins.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
So it's like, yeah, like, who is this guy? No clue. 10 to midnight, trash or treasure?
It's treasure. I think it's treasure. It's still a very good watch. And I'd watch it again.
It's a good movie. But I see a great movie in there, smoothing things out a bit. It could have been great.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's just good, you know?
Yeah, that's right. But hey, we can settle for good anyways, you know? It kind of has a lot of things going for it that you want in a sort of a slasher slash horror cop kind of movie, right? It's got these genres.
There's a few movies that get stuck in this kind of like category where it's almost a slasher, and they're boring from those tropes, but they don't quite go there. Like Silent Rage is one of those, you know, where this like they almost got it, you know, like they're boring from the horror genre.
Yeah, but they just didn't
but not quite enough.
Yeah, they just didn't go that extra step.
Yeah, go that extra step and you could have had yourself something really special.
Very, very special.
Special!
But, this movie's definitely worth a watch, especially for the final act.
That's right.
It's fucking spectacular.
Yeah, it's great.
It's kind of, you have to sit through that middle part to get to this really good fucking ending.
Yeah, but you do get a really good payoff, so it's worth it, and stick with it and you'll enjoy it. And until next time, keep drinking.
And jacking off.
It's for jacking off!
Treasure.